The Isiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
And welcome to The Factor Uncensored, a huge development in Houston's 5th Ward, the site of a cancer cluster we've been telling you about here on The Factor since 2016. Now, more than 5 years later, the Environmental Protection Agency has said it's taking action at that site and cleaning it up. Hundreds of cancer cases have been reported in the area for years. We've had guests come on The Factor, residents, lawyers looking for answers. This all stems from operations at the Union Pacific Rail Yard which allegedly soil and groundwater contamination for years. The product called CREOSOTE. Now, the EPA says it will make unannounced inspections and expand air monitoring in the area, and that's just for starters. Tonight, 5th Ward resident LaTonya Payne and her attorney join me on The Factor to talk about this major change. Payne, a cancer survivor herself, lost her 14-year-old son, Corinthian, to leukemia.
LaTonya, to make people realize just how important this issue is, what happened to you and your family?
In May of 2016, Corinthian was diagnosed with leukemia. 3 months later, I was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer.
And so when that happened to you, a mother and a young child, did you have any thoughts like, what's causing this? Why is this happening to us?
Initially, I thought it was something that just happened. In the back of my mind, I was wondering if it could have been some type of connection that both of us were diagnosed with cancer 3 months apart. And it wasn't until I started hearing about the cancer cluster in 5th Ward until I started connecting the dots.
And how difficult was that, not only to deal with your cancer, the loss of your child, but to hear that it's going on in your whole community?
I was very angry, very, very, very angry when I found out that this was going on in the community. I feel that if this was something that they would have looked into previously, then Corinthian and I may not have experienced what we've experienced. Corinthian may still be with us today, and possibly I would have never had to go through what I went through as well.
Jason, it was just about the time she lost her son when we started doing our first reports on the cancer cluster in 5th Ward here on The Factor Uncensored. And now we're just hearing from the EPA and about the action that they will take to try and clean it up. Is it too little, too late?
Well, we certainly welcome the EPA's attention to the matter and hope that it's not just lip service and they actually follow through with their oversight of TCEQ, which is the Texas arm of the EPA. So it's never too late, particularly when you're dealing with something like this. Unfortunately, the cancer that's spreading and has been spreading throughout that neighborhood and that geographical area, it's so high. You have children like Corinthian who passed away from leukemia, but we represent over 800 other individuals that either currently have cancer or that have died from cancer in that same area. And if you just think about that for a minute, it's beyond belief.
Now, at the root of the problem is this creosote. Explain to us, Jason, exactly what that is and what role it had in potentially causing cancer to all of these victims out there.
Right. So in the railroad business, they have railroad ties, which are made of wood. They had to treat those railroad ties with something to preserve them. They used creosote. Creosote is a combination of many different cancer-causing chemicals. So when they illegally dumped the creosote into the ground, it is spread, creating a toxic plume. That toxic plume has affected all of the surrounding area, including Ms. Payne's family and many others that it's affected. And so that's what we're investigating. That's what the EPA is investigating. And I hope with this newfound attention that something will actually be done.
Now, what are you hearing from the defendants in this case? And I would assume that is Union Pacific, right?
Yeah, so we just had our first status conference in this case after 2 years of delay. Union Pacific their legal strategy right now is to delay these cases as long as possible. They do not want to turn over any of the bad documents. They do not want to present any of their corporate people to be deposed under oath. So it's an exercise in hiding the truth. That's where we are, and we're pushing forward aggressively to prevent that from happening.
No, it's only a matter of time, though, right? They would have to answer the allegations in the lawsuit or lose by default, and I doubt they want to do that.
No, I doubt that. I don't know what they're sitting on that's so bad. I can imagine it's information that would be very, very bad for Union Pacific. We have thousands of documents that the EPA has already turned over. We have thousands of documents already from the TCEQ, and we've done our due diligence in finding all that we can find, except getting what we need to get from Union Pacific. So at some point, they can only hide for so long. They're going to have to join the game and play in the big boys game and, pull their pants up and take care of their business.
And Ms. Payne, do you have the patience to continue to wait?
I definitely have the patience. It's been a long time coming, and I'm going to wait until I can't wait any longer. I'm here for it. And I just want Union Pacific Railroad to be held accountable for the negligence that has been going on in this community for quite some time.
And right now, Jason, you're at potentially 800 clients. Do you expect that number to go up? And is it limited just to the Fifth Ward area, maybe Cashmere Gardens? Make that perfectly clear, crystal clear for us.
We have a total of in excess of 1,200 clients, 800 plus of which are cancer related. We do expect the numbers to go up, and the area consists of, you're right, Cashmere Gardens and the Fifth Ward in those areas.
All right. Well, we want to thank you all for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored, and we appreciate this update, and hopefully something will be done about this by TCEQ, the EPA here in Texas. We want to thank you, and Ms. Payne, wish you well. Obviously, you have been through a tough situation, losing your son, dealing with cancer as well yourself. We want to thank you both for joining us here on The Factor.
And of course, we want to thank current HISD school board member Kathy Bluford Daniels, who brought this subject to our attention on The Factor 6 years ago. We were out on the site with her. She started the campaign to get the word out.